Hi, y'all. I'm Obscure Girl. I like movies. I like weird movies. I like weird, trippy, obscure movies that I feel like no one has seen or is talking about. Whether that be because they're just old, or the marketing was bad, or you're like, I think that was a fever dream I had when I was 5. I'm here to tell you, it wasn't. Let's talk about it. And if you cannot tell from my even more extra than usual getup, I'm here to talk about award season. We just had the Oscars. The Oscars are over. I have already done my predictions video for both the actor slash SAG Awards and the Academy slash Oscars. And in a lot of cases, I've actually never been so happy to be wrong. A lot of the ones that I wanted to get picked got picked. And otherwise, a lot of the ones that I thought were going to get picked were the ones that got picked. There actually was not a single category, at least at the Oscars, where the one that got picked was not something that I had talked about in my episode, which, I've been watching this a hot minute. I have a pretty good guess of where they're going to go or where I want them to go. The only exception to that was for the actor awards when they were talking about TV shows, because I have not seen The Studio. I barely heard anything about The Studio, and I definitely didn't know Catherine O'Hara was in it. And the tributes that they did to her was absolutely beautiful. When they skipped to Jenna Ortega's face during the tribute for her, oh my gosh, I almost lost it. Okay, I did lose it. I cry a lot at these things, guys. But that was absolutely beautiful. And as much as I don't like Apple TV, I feel like I gotta check out The Studio now because it looks absolutely awesome. And apparently the other actors in the room felt the same. In regards to the Oscars, it really was just mostly coming down between Sinners and One Battle After the Other, One Battle After Another. I did a whole review on it and I still can't remember the name. That is how much of an impact that movie had on me. I hated it. It was so bad. And that's what we're really going to start getting into talking about is what won, what got snubbed, and how I feel this is going to have a lasting impact on the award season's reputation going forward. I'm kind of worried, guys. Let's get into it. So just right off the bat, a couple of things that I liked, some general impressions, some highlights. I'm not a huge fan of Conan O'Brien. I've never found him particularly funny, but I guess he had some pretty good writers because he was making me chuckle kind of left and right. He did a much better job than I thought he was going to. Having said that, there was one serious problem I feel with the Oscars this year, and that was it felt long this year. I was the whole time watching, I'm in a group chat with like all my best friends and the ones that are watching too, and then there was like 2 that weren't, that had to get caught up with that whole text chain, the poor things. I was like, should I feel worried that this is supposed to end in half an hour and we've only had one best song performance happen so far? And sure enough, the awards felt really long this year because I feel that they normally are broken up by the performances for the songs up for Best Original Song. This year, they only performed the 2 that people gave a crap about and said, if you want to hear the other nominees, here's a QR code. So Best Song got snubbed hard. And I'm not saying like they were gonna be fantastic songs. Clearly there were 2 frontrunners, and clearly it was always gonna be Golden. Spoilers, it was Golden. The song that went platinum. I'm shocked. The performances for both Golden and I Lied to You from Sinners were incredible. They were so powerful. I had chills all over my body. It was a whole thing. Really, really great performances. But then the rest of the show was like little skits and little reunion skits and things like that, which they do sometimes, but these went on. I'm not gonna lie, they had a little, skit where the girls from Bridesmaids came for like a reunion thing. That did not need to be that long. And in fact, they were like, jokingly saying that they had some notes from the audience, and one of them was like, yeah, this is going long. And I'm like, it really is though. Like, this is taking its time, and why isn't anyone singing? And I know, me being a musical theater kid like I am biased towards that, but a lot of people were saying kind of the same thing. It felt long this year. And I feel like that is because it is normally broken up by the songs and by the big musical numbers, and you just had 2 this year. So that was kind of a big deal. And honestly, just saying the other ones could be listened to via QR code is such a slap in the face to those other nominees. Oh my goodness. Meanwhile, the musical numbers that they did have, the big opening that Conan did, no one warned me Josh Groban was going to be there. Like, I saw him on the red carpet, and that was pretty cool. Because I love Josh Groban. I used to joke in high school that he was the only man on the planet that I would have babies with, because between his and my musical abilities, I thought the babies would come out crying in tune. And scientifically, I was willing to, experiment with that. However, so him being there with singing was absolutely like, oh my god, yay. I was wondering why he was there, so it shouldn't have been surprising that he did a mini song type thing at the opening, but it wasn't like a song. Conan just had this whole like, oh my god, if I won an Oscar, I would not be nearly as gracious as all these other people, which was funny. And Josh was there, so that was like, But yeah, but the big worry that I do have for this year, besides how long it went and how people are going to remember that it just went on very long, is the fact that one of the big winners of the night was One Battle After Another, like I unfortunately predicted. And it didn't win as much as I thought it would. Sinners did win pretty big, which was nice. However, One Battle After Another won Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture. And that I had a big problem with because, like I said in my review for it, this movie was very political, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love me a good political flick. However, it was basically supposed to be supporting more liberal, ideals, and it just made the liberals look either incompetent or pathetic, honestly. There wasn't really any great characters. There was no one I was rooting for. In fact, I was actively rooting for every single person besides Benicio del Toro to fail in that movie. And Sean Penn did win for Best Supporting, which I was okay with. He was the highlight of that movie. Being as horrible as he was a big highlight with just how well he played being horrible. Of course, Sean Penn didn't show up to either award show when he did win for both the actor and the Oscars, because he's been protesting and boycotting the awards since like most of my life. So that was kind of interesting. I was like, yeah, no, he won. He's not coming, but he won. But my worry is that, lately people have been saying that the Oscars have been getting more pretentious with their picks, more political. And with One Battle After Another getting the praise that it got, I'm worried that between the Oscars feeling so long this year and leaning into so political with a movie that did not deserve the praise. I know the movie's a satire. I'm not dumb. But it just made everyone across the board look so dumb. And I'll be honest, a lot of people right now are pretty dumb on both sides. I won't lie to you. But it wasn't good. And it didn't make people that are fighting for the right thing look good. And that makes me worried that they're the ones who won big. Now, I have no problem with Paul Thomas Anderson. He's with Maya Rudolph. That already gives him a big plus in my book. I just really don't like this movie. I don't like the message, and I do not like that the Oscars leaned into it and fell for it. And now I'm very worried that their reputation is going to be too pretentious, not for the people, because at the end of the night, the super pretentious political movie that no one had heard of won over the movie that everyone saw and loved and was rooting for. I'm worried, guys. Having said that, though, I was fully expecting this entire night to be something that would make me angry, with the exception of Golden winning. I knew Golden was going to win. Also, do want to point out here that as wonderful as it was that Golden won, and we all kind of figured, the whole night speech times and being played off was kind of a running thing this year, and they only let one of the writers, the main girl who from the movie, she was the only one who got to say a speech. The second another writer got up to say anything, they cut him off and went to commercial. That was kind of brutal. It really also stacked on that Best Song was really just swept under the rug this year. And I don't know what that's about, because honestly, that's one of the big things people watch the Oscars for. I was very much expecting for it to make me very angry, and what instead happened was a roller coaster of emotions that I was not prepared for. So let's just get into the nominees. I was very surprised that they opened the night with Best Supporting Actress, because honestly, this was the big award that I had a horse in this race for. Obviously, I was kind of salty that only the Actor Awards gave any nod whatsoever to Wicked, and that was for Ariana Grande, and she did not win. However, I was thrilled, over the moon, so happy that Amy Madigan won both awards for Best Supporting Actress in SAG and at the Oscars for her portrayal as Aunt Gladys in Weapons. That was absolutely fantastic. And honestly, between Weapons and Sinners, having big winners for horror movies is kind of a huge thing. Like, guys, we know this is kind of a horror channel, a little bit at least. And honestly, that the awards are starting to recognize horror and performances in horror, so cool, groundbreaking, love it. But honestly, this was one of the awards that I feel was kind of a big deal to quite a few people. So I was surprised that it was literally the first one out the gate. And I was like, this is really going to set the tone for the rest of the night. So when Amy Madigan won a freaking Oscar, this late in life too, like, good for her. I was very pleasantly surprised. I was so happy. And I was then very skeptical. I'm like, okay, either things are actually going my way, because they really did with the Actor Awards. Other than Sean Penn, nothing really won the Actor Awards for One Battle After Another. All of it was going to Sinners, because the peers know what's good. So I was again skeptical. I'm like, is this gonna go the way the Actor Awards did? Like, am I actually gonna be happy tonight? And the answer was, I was all over the place that night. So then again, like I said, Sean Penn won for Best Supporting Actor, both for the Oscars and the actors. I was hoping in this case that Delroy Lindo was going to win for Best Supporting for his part as Delta Slim in Sinners. Also found it really interesting, and I can't stop talking about it, that for the Actor Awards, Sammy's character was nominated for Best Supporting, and for the Oscars, Slim's character was nominated for Best Supporting. That was just kind of interesting to me, but moving on. And then they did the I Lied to You musical number, which was, again, chills all over body, absolutely fantastic. They really went into that whole, like, transcending time, which it was a big performance. It was really a big deal, and it was awesome. And like I said, chills. And then for the Best Actor, Best Actress, again, I was kind of surprised that they saved Best Actress for the end. I know a lot of times that is the case, but usually they kind of switch it to where the award that is more competitive, the one that people are like, oh my god, who's going to get it, is the one that they save for the end. We all knew Jessie Buckley was going to win this for Hamnet. Like, she got every single award for the entire Oscar or award season for this performance, so it was really no surprise whatsoever that she won. Meanwhile, I was kind of wondering if it was going to go to Michael B. Jordan or if it was going to go to Leo. And for the first time in my life, I did not want Leo DiCaprio to win an Oscar, which was a really weird feeling, because, oh my god, I want it every other year. But Michael B. Jordan did win, and that was amazing, and everyone was freaking out, and it was absolutely gorgeous and glorious. So then we had, like I said, Best Screenplay, Original, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Sinners won for Best Original Screenplay, and then One Battle After Another won for Best Adapted. So we knew right then it was really down to those two for Best Picture. And like I said in my prediction review, I feel that the winner of Best Director automatically should be the one who wins Best Picture. So when Paul Thomas Anderson ended up winning Best Director over Ryan Coogler, we kind of knew where things were swaying there, and that was disappointing to say the least. But here we go. Also, for the more technical awards, I was really, really happy with this, that Sinners was winning a lot of the technicals. They won Best Cinematography. They won Best Score, which I said they should have out of principle. It's a movie about music. And then Frankenstein winning for Best Costume Design and Best Hair and Makeup. That was amazing. I was so happy that they were shown the love that they deserved. Again, another horror movie getting the recognition. Also, Anne Hathaway and Anna Wintour presenting those awards and just really promoting the next Devil Wears Prada, but also just being so gorgeous and fabulous. That was a treat. I was not expecting. I was very happy. And then they played the trailer for the new Devil Wears Prada, and I was freaking out the whole time, of course. And then, like I said, no surprise whatsoever. Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters won for Best Original Song, and K-Pop Demon Hunters won for Best Animated Picture. Was not surprised. I finally saw Zootopia 2. It was great. It wasn't K-Pop Demon Hunters. It wasn't a phenomenon. And I still need to see Elio. I'm part of the problem. I know. I'm sorry. The last two things that I really want to talk about, weirdly enough, one of my favorite parts of any award show is when they go over the in memoriam, just because it is kind of nice that, you know, these people that we invite into our homes and our lives on a regular basis, you know, ones that you feel like you know, even though you've never met, that you get to kind of grieve collectively losing them over the course of the year. And that was kind of a big deal for me. And this year definitely was one of the biggest years for a big A-list celebrity passings since 2016, when we lost like everybody. So the fact that the in memoriam was super long was not surprising. What was surprising was how many breaks they had and how many different little tributes they had throughout. So it started with Billy Crystal coming out to talk about Rob Reiner. And this was very reminiscent of when he came to do the eulogy at the Emmys for Robin Williams passing several years ago. So I was already kind of feeling it, because Robin Williams is probably, besides David Bowie, of course, was my big celebrity loss that hit me really hard. He was my TV dad. He was all of our TV dad. So that one was really hard. So I was already kind of feeling it. And then just with how horrible the circumstances around Rob Reiner and his wife's passing was already terrible. I didn't know Billy Crystal was on All in the Family with Rob Reiner way back in the day. I know the show's terrible now, but when I was really little, I absolutely loved it. And so he had said how, you know, Rob Reiner told Billy Crystal, we did really good at playing best friends. Why don't we keep it going? And they did. And which was absolutely amazing. And just talking about all of his films and his career and his activism. And then when they did the little tribute to him, they literally brought out all these insanely famous people from his movies. So Demi Moore was there, Mandy Patinkin, Carrie Ellis from Princess Bride were there, Meg Ryan was right there next to Billy Crystal for When Harry Met Sally, and I was already losing it just at that point, that they were just there to be there for this amazing man who's meant so much to Hollywood for all of these years. But then we had another little break, and Rachel McAdams comes out and talking about just some of the powerhouse women that we had lost, and one of them, of course, being Catherine O'Hara, which I had already lost it during the actor awards, especially like I said, when they went to Jenna Ortega, and that was just absolutely heartbreaking, but beautiful. And then talking about Diane Keaton, and that one was just hard for me personally. The Oscars is something I used to do with my mom. It was our thing, it was our day. And Diane Keaton was one of my mom's favorite actresses, and so many of the movies that remind me of my mom are starring Diane Keaton. And I just kind of was really blubbering, because on top of losing these powerhouse actresses, I was just missing my mom all over again. And then, but then moving on again, we did a little, more of the montage and everything. And then we get to Robert Redford. And no one warned me that Barbra Streisand was there. I did not see her on the red carpet. I didn't see her in the audience. No one talked about it. But not only did she come out, she started singing The Way We Were, which, again, that was just like how when Marvin Hamlish passed away, she did a tribute to him and also sang The Way We Were. And so, again, a lot of the In Memoriam kind of felt reminiscent of other In Memoriams, just all jam-packed together. But yeah, I was absolutely blubbering, and one of my best friends was messaging me, and she doesn't live that far away from me, and she was just like, "Stop crying, I can hear you from here." And I left her a voice message, "No one tell me Babs is gonna be there, and I'm just not prepared." Like, it was a whole thing. And then right after, when I thought I was gonna calm down, they did a For Good trailer, and then it was just blubbering all over again. So, In Memoriam was a big deal this year, probably one of the biggest deals of the whole night. Having said that, it was really long. Also, another little thing I wanted to throw in there, it was kind of a groundbreaking night in two ways. It was the first time a woman had won for Best Cinematography, which was fantastic, and it was for Sinners. Loved that. And they added a new award, which was for Best Casting, which went to One Battle After Another, which that one I was okay with. There was a lot of big names, and they did great performances as playing awful people. So I'll give that. Like, for casting, sure. For the other ones that it won, not so much, but casting, sure. So in those two ways, it was a groundbreaking night. The last thing I need to talk about, though, is when they were announcing for Best Picture, Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman come out and immediately start doing nods and a tribute to Moulin Rouge. And I'm on the phone again with my besties and my best friend Missy, and that's just like one of our movies, always has been. And she's just like, "And I have passed out." I'm like, "Missy, I'm not breathing, but I just broke the sound barrier."
Because all you need is love.
All you need is love. Love is all you need.
That was absolutely amazing. And then they gave it to One Battle After Another. And I wrote verbatim in our group chat, I just went from the clouds of euphoria crashing down into the hellscape that is Trump's golden bathroom. And my friend Haley was also just like, "Oh my gosh, I see fireworks going off at your house. Do you see them?" And she like put in a little firework emoji out of her window, and I was like, so yeah, that was a thing. I was over the moon for the whole Moulin Rouge thing. That was absolutely amazing. Another thing I was not expecting, and then just to have the crap stick at the top of the cake of the night, which was One Battle After Another beating Sinners. And so it was a roller coaster, like I said. The performances were absolutely spectacular. The In Memoriam was heart-wrenching, but did go on. And it was funny and fun, but again, the whole thing went on. And again, the fact that only 2 of the song nominees out of the 5 got to perform that night really kind of was sending a message as well. So, overall, I think it was a fairly good year for the Oscars. I'm just still happy that they had that much representation for horror pictures winning things. That was amazing. I was not happy at the One Battle After Another stuff, of course. But it's not like I didn't predict it. And in spite of it being a mostly good year, I am worried that all people are going to remember is that it was very long, and the pretentious political movie that no one had heard of beat the movie that everyone loved. So yeah, that was me reacting to the Oscars and a little bit the SAG Awards. I hope that if you like this video and you like me talking about stuff like this, it's only going to happen a couple times a year, but just let me know in the comments. What were your thoughts on the Oscars this year? What was your takeaway from it? Were you happy that certain things won and other things didn't? Were you super pissed that certain things got snubbed, i.e. Wicked? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really, really fascinated. I need more people to talk to about this. So, this is my channel. I'm Obscure Girl. If you liked this video, pretty please like the video, share it out to your friends, be like, "Oh my god, she feels the same way we did," or "Oh my god, she's so off base with this." Please Again, comment your feelings, reactions. Please subscribe to my channel. It would be such a huge help. And if you would check out my Patreon as well, the link is in the description below. It would really help me out with upping the quality of these videos. I've been Obscure Girl. That's award season for another year. And the rest is confetti.